This is a question on paragraph summary, and we have four options. We have to read the paragraph and go ahead and mark the one that we think is the right summary. So we'll read the paragraph. It says, all that we think we know about how life hangs together is really some kind of illusion that we have perpetrated on ourselves because of our limited vision. So basically, the author says that all that you know about life is basically a sort of illusion, right? What appear to be inanimate objects such as stones turn out only to be alive in the same way that we are, but also in many infinitesimal ways to be affected by stimuli just as humans are. The distinction between inanimate and animate simply cannot be made when you enter the world of quantum mechanics and try to determine how these apparent subatomic particles of which you and everything else in our universe is composed are all tied together. The point is that physics and metaphysics show there is a pattern to the universe that goes beyond our capacity to grasp it with our brain. So in this paragraph, there are multiple things which are coming together. The author starts by telling us that all that we think about life is because of our limited vision, right? And then he further says that what appear to be inanimate objects such as stones uh, are alive in the same way that we are, but also in many infinitesimal ways to be affected by stimuli. So basically, stones are very similar to human beings. They can be touched, they can feel, right? This is what he's trying to say. The distinction between animate and inanimate simply cannot be made when you enter the world of quantum mechanics. So the author has given the point that when you enter the world of quantum mechanics, there is no distinction between animate and inanimate, right? And and try to determine how these apparent subatomic particles of which you and everything else in our universe is composed are all tied together. The point is that physics and metaphysics show there is a pattern to the universe and that goes beyond our capacity to grasp it with our brains. So there is a pattern that goes beyond our capacity, right? So if you break this down into bits and pieces, you will realize that the author says that we have some kind of illusory understanding, and even the stones that we have can be affected by stimuli, and distinction between animate and inanimate disappear at the quantum level, right? Everything is tied together, and the point is that physics and metaphysics show that there is a pattern to the universe that goes beyond. So something is difficult for our brain to understand. So lots of things are there. There's not one consistent theme in the paragraph. Let's try to understand which one is very close to what the passage says. The animate world is more both sentient and cognizant, like animate. See, the point is when you say sentient, sentient basically means conscious, correct? Now, sentient basically means having conscience, having consciousness. Now, the author has not said anywhere that there is conscience and consciousness in stones. He simply has made the statement, and it is there in the earlier part of the paragraph. It says here that what appear to be inanimate objects such as stones are not only to be alive in the same way that we are, but also in many infinitesimal ways to be affected by stimuli just as humans are. So when you say that the inanimate world is both sentient and cognizant, so even if you say sentient means conscience, so they can feel, cognizant basically means having degree of intelligence. Now the problem is that cognizant means pertaining to intelligence, whereas the passage said is pertaining to stimuli. That means they might be having some sort of sense, but that is not that they are basically showing you some sort of intelligence. So the word cognizant is too much of an extreme word, which is not captured by the passage, which is not given in the passage. To be affected by stimuli is not the same as to be sentient and to be cognizant. Even plants may be affected by stimuli. That doesn't mean that they are able to that they have intelligence in them. So this is slightly like a highly extreme choice, which is not matching with what the passage exactly has to say. The effect of stimuli is similar in animate objects when compared with animate objects or living beings. So this is again focusing specifically on the stimuli. We can it says the effect of stimuli is similar in animate objects when compared to animate objects or living beings. So is this the point that the author is trying to make, that the effect of stimuli is maybe factually it could be correct, but it is not the broad summary. Quantum physics indicates that an astigmatic view of reality results in erroneous assumptions. Now, erroneous assumptions. Where do you see erroneous assumptions? There are no assumptions anywhere in the passage. This has to go out. The only choice is between two and four. Arbitrary distinctions between animate and inanimate objects disappear at the scale at which quantum mechanics works. Now, you might wonder that even this point is made only towards the end of the paragraph. But if you look at it, this is basically crux of the matter in the sense that this point is simply saying that the effect of stimuli. But what the author the point that the author wants to make is that at certain level, what is animate and what is inanimate, they are basically very confusing. It is not this difference between animate and inanimate simply does not exist at a certain level. So he says that what we think about life is an illusion. It is basically about because of our limited vision. Then he says what appear to be inanimate objects turns out to be alive, right? The distinction between animate and inanimate simply cannot be made when you so basically this entire discussion of stimuli has come because the author is making comparison between animate and inanimate at the quantum level. So this is the broad idea that he's discussing in the paragraph. At the subatomic level there is no distinction, and this point which has come earlier is basically a subset of this broad point. So what I see here is that this subset, this point is the bigger message, and is the one that is taking more space in the paragraph, and therefore is more critical than the second point, which says that the effect of stimuli is similar. Of course, they are affected by stimuli the way we are, but whether that effect is very similar in comparison, we don't know. So you can say that plants also have feelings, human beings also have feelings. But are these feelings similar is something which we cannot say. Similarly, stimuli affects stones, stimuli affects human beings as well. But are these effects the same? Affected by is one thing, and having the same effect is different. In fact, look at this. This effect is basically consequence. The meaning of the word effect is consequence, whereas the word effect here basically means influenced by. So you have to understand language. It says here that what appear to be inanimate objects such as stones turn out not only to be alive in the same way that we are, but also in many infinitesimal ways to be affected by stimuli. So inanimate objects like stones are affected means influenced by stimuli. Effect affected means influence and effect means consequence. And here it says that you are affected. Here it says the effect is the same. Are you getting my point? So there's a difference. There's a difference between affected by something and the effect of something. They are entirely two separate things. They cannot be equated. Therefore, two definitely has to go out, and four is the best choice and the right.